Um, I thought that because we were talking about some noise, that I would try a different kind of noise, outdoor noise, instead of that beeping sound that's in the background. That I do hear it. I guess I just sort of ignore it. I guess right now there's a little hum. Sounds lawnmowers. That's what it is. Anyway, I was thinking that I should talk a little bit about culture, because I don't really think that people understand culture very well. And there's I was trying to tell a friend about this, the Dunning-Kruger, and I'm sure many of you, or some of you, or whatever, I'm not sure of anything, forget that, strike that. The Dunning-Kruger refers to the fact that the theory where a stupid person doesn't know they're stupid. Well, it's actually a lot worse than that, because it's not about stupidity. The thing that I found out about stupidity is that when you're having a discussion with people, I mean, if you disagree with them, then that's cause to call you stupid. Which is it's a subject that I'm going to get into, and I have touched on it. I think I can be clearer on it, but you see, self-awareness is not as easy as you think it is, or as it sounds. And really, most of us are so manipulated by everything that is outside of us. Doesn't matter the bell, the whistle, the car, the brand, the team, the TV, the phone, you name it, and we are distracted by, all these things. We're focusing on all these things that don't belong to this. This doesn't need really shit. I mean, it just needs itself, sure, have a loincloth or something like that, but, and also all these needs are manufactured, and they just, it's already at the point where we just have no fucking control, because, I mean, it's so concentrated. And so what does that have to do with culture? Well, you see, one of the things that people talk about a lot is racism, okay? And the truth of the matter is that biologically, race does not exist, okay? Of course, there's skin tones, but if you haven't noticed that how we engage with our environment, or what environment we engage with, kind of defines how our bodies become. So if my body is continuously in a vehicle, and it doesn't change very much, and most of the time I'm in that vehicle, then my body is going to start to distort and get atrophied based on that artificial device. This is like, it's like electrocuting monkeys. I mean, everything manipulates you. I mean, the calendar, the time of day, the time of the week, the shows and everything. And I know, because it's just, we don't know any better. I mean, it's taken me a long time to fucking figure that out. But I always know that's not actually true. But just the extent and the depravity of it. And it's just sad, and especially, well, anyway, let me try to get back on this. So I'm saying race does not exist, but that doesn't mean that, sort of shared identities don't exist. Where we look at each other and go, okay, I am like you, you're my skin tone, you kind of look like me, you kind of talk like me, so I feel comfortable with you. And that's, that's sort of the beginnings, if you will. But of course, there's larger forms of culture where it's behavioral patterns that are sort of defined by the that are created, basically unique behavioral patterns in relationship to, colors, to dances, to thoughts, to emotions and stuff. So, a culture is not just clothing that people wear or funny hats or anything like that, but culture is also a way of thinking and behaving. And so, if what you'll find is that, of course, cultures, nobody likes to self-criticize. There's very few people that can look at themselves and say, what's wrong with me and how do I correct that? Most people, since they're so weak and they can't do that, they actually try to make themselves feel better by, making other people feel worse. I mean, that's kind of, what happens. But all these conditions and all these situations are manufactured. And what I mean is that they are a result of the conditions that were kind of shoehorned into. You shouldn't have to buy a car. You shouldn't have to do this. You shouldn't have to do anything. You shouldn't have to, commit about almost 14 hours a day to work and not even breathe and be able to find yourself. I mean, that's sick and demented, and they know what they're doing, But the good news is that if you learn how not to be manipulated by those things outside and stand your ground, then that is going to make things better. You can't expect people to fucking do shit for you. You can't give them money and think they're going to do shit for you. You can just, all you have to do is fucking move, get off your ass, and ignore all the crap that actually keeps you in prison more than it frees you up. So, culture. Culture is defined by movement and colors and ideas, and that doesn't mean the ideas are correct, because there's no such thing as a correct idea. That's why there's so many different cultures. Race does not exist, but the way certain people behave, that there's patterns do exist, but that's not a race. It's a culture that engages in certain types of activities and sort of, shares certain likenesses and just feels comfortable with each other because of, pigmentation, which is nothing. It means absolutely nothing. None of it means anything. Everything that you think it means is just completely read into, And it's just that people feel that they have to be like these absolute authorities on things when nobody is an absolute authority. There's no such thing as an absolute authority. And people will argue that fact. But it's without merit. It is without merit. The only thing we're social animals and we cannot live isolated. And so if they're isolating you, obviously they're exploiting you, because you have to be in community. You have to engage with each other, and they're doing everything they can to basically make you hate each other. Whoops. Boy, did I get off on a rant. Maybe feeling comfortable. I was like, ooh, there we go. Sun's right up there. Anyway, all right. That's a short one. I haven't run yet, and I will soon. I was pretty excited about yesterday. 5 miles in 63 minutes, my best time yet. So I'm feeling good.